What's going on YouTube? Chronos here, and welcome back to the PSO2 video. So today's video, we're going to be talking about something that I've mentioned last couple videos, but didn't really get too in depth with. A set of weapons that are currently available on the market that are criminally underpriced and undervalued at the moment. We're going to talk about them and probably break their price. Maybe not. Who knows? People might still not listen. So if you guys aren't aware of this, I want to make sure that everyone can become aware of this because it's crazy how good these weapons are for certain classes. What I'm talking about are the unique effect 14 stars. So, a couple things to keep in mind. 14 stars have been dropping already from earlier quests, and people have been trying to get a hold of them. Some people have been lucky enough to get them. Things like the Rycro staff, things like the spread needle have been seen. Unfortunately, I still have yet to see them, but the Jupiter Tullus, I would love to be able to get a hold of them. All of these weapons are fairly powerful on their own right as 14 stars. Now, why are these criminally undervalued at the moment? Well, because all these weapons have access to what we're calling their plus potentials, meaning that their unique weapon potentials do provide some damage and a unique effect. However, sometime in episode 6, they released what they call the plus potentials that increase the damage percentage that these weapons are being provided and retaining their unique effects. So let's take a look at what these are. So with Dragon's release, they released 4 more weapons that are starting to drop: a partisan, knuckle, twin machine gun, and jet boot. We're gonna talk about each one of these weapons individually and why it's crazy how cheap they are. If you're a class that uses any of these weapon categories, you should definitely pick one of them up. Even if you're not using it as your main weapon, it is a fantastic weapon overall. So we're gonna start with the partisan. The partisan is a Jild Garola. Now, holy crap, if you're a partisan player, you definitely want to pick up one of these. It fixes one of, I would call probably one of the biggest issues with partisan itself, which is its focus generation. So if you don't know anything about partisan, essentially your focus you build up by pressing the weapon action on the partisan. You kind of spin your partisan back and forth. It builds up your focus, and then you spend that focus whenever you're using a PA for increased damage. Now, what you'll find in a lot of partisan combos is you end up having to stop your damage bursting for pressing that weapon action. What Jild Garola does is, whenever you have full gear, so whenever you have, it says gear, but it means focus, basically. Essentially the bar that's above the weapon. But whenever you're at full focus, and you're in the air, you don't consume any focus. Meaning, the thing that you normally have to do to stop your damage rotation, and essentially what basically is forced stopping your damage output, basically you're not able to stay completely offensive, is completely nullified. Now, granted, there are going to be times where you guard anyway, but most of the time with weapons like this you're using on Hunter, you're charge parrying. So because you're charge parrying, you're still parrying abilities anyway, so you don't have to stop to guard things. But some situations you're going to end up guarding anyway. But this fixes one of the biggest issues that a lot of people have with partisan. Now, granted, it does mean you have to be in the air when you attack, meaning you are going to have to do like a quick little hop, but that's really not a huge issue. It doesn't make it perfect, but it does help out quite a bit. Now, look at the potential itself, which is level 3 restores PP when guarding at 300% regen. So you get a ton of PP back. And then when the gear gauge is maxed or focus gauge, partisan will not consume gear while airborne, and also 9% power. So 9% power is pretty much across the board, kind of standard. But let's look at its plus potential. Basically all of the same things. Oh, by the way, 20% power. So let's look at it compared to everything else that's out in the game right now. Oh, we can take a look at our Atlas weapon. We can take a look at a 15-star Ophistio weapon. Look what's in between. So not only is it ridiculously powerful, it's got a ridiculously powerful potential, and its unique effect is really, really helpful from a utility perspective to keeping you dealing damage. Now, you're probably thinking, well, this is an awesome weapon. It's a 14-star. It's got to be expensive, right? There's no way that they would have this be super cheap. I wish that were the case. Because they're 3 mil. If you want a decent one, it's 4.6 mil. What is this? What is happening here? And I, of course, always have to pull these down. Thank you for talking in the middle of my video. I appreciate it. Anyway, they're ridiculously inexpensive. Criminal almost. You don't have to worry about upgrading a weapon or anything along those lines. It's a really good weapon itself. And because of these plus potentials, it makes them, in some cases, a best in slot choice for a lot of classes, going all the way up to Liberate. And that's a weapon category that we haven't even talked about on the channel yet, because we're not even close to getting a hold of those weapons yet. That's what the novel weapons upgrade into, is Liberate. And if you want to get kind of an idea of what a novel weapon is, take a look at, I guess, what is it? I think Knuckles have dropped so far on Global. Yeah, novel weapons are 15-star weapons that will upgrade into another 15-star that will support an S4 and S5. The only reason that you'll even upgrade at the point of novel is because its S5 slot is the unique potentials of these 14 stars. So you get to keep the utility of the unique potential with also having the power. So in a lot of cases, this ends up being a best in slot choice until a Liberate weapon, which is why I'm saying they're criminally undervalued. So you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, well, it's just the partisan. Most people don't use partisan. Not a really big deal, right? Okay, cool. Let's go to Knuckles. By the way, gear experience. Pretty much the same situation. It's got a unique potential, also gives us some power. So increase power by 10%. Successfully evade an attack with Sway, which is the Knuckles weapon action. Summons a giant fist. So when they say summons a giant fist, it means literally the target that you're either soft locked onto or hard locked onto, a fist drops on top of its head. Doesn't matter the distance, doesn't matter the range. You can literally lock onto a target that's super far away from you, stand in fire, get the timing for the ticks that are going to be on yourself for the fire, and sway it each time. And as long as you're swaying it successfully and muting the damage with the sway, you will just drop a fist on top of a target over and over and over again. This was literally the strategy for some people in certain limited quests on JP. I watched someone stand in fire, lock onto a target, and just sway it to death. They went nowhere near it, did no PAs, and just dropped the fist on it over and over again from a completely safe spot. Now, granted, yes, you have to get the timing down for sway, but it's mostly free, and it adds an extra mechanic into fighter, which is of course something that's going to be iframeable. And then of course, while the sway is going off, you're also invincible during that time frame, so it's really, really nice. And then plus potential is 20% damage, by the way. It's just more damage. Again, same situation itself as Liberate. Or same situation as the partisan. You're basically in a case where you have tons and tons of damage. There's tons of base damage on this weapon already. On top of that, it's tons of, I mean, you can basically think of it as having 220. I'm sorry, 2,200 and I mean, granted, I'm not doing math properly. Basically 2.2k base stat at plus 35 because of the 20% increased power. That's not exactly the way it's going to work out. Of course, there's other things that go into the calculation itself, but that's almost kind of what you can think about it. And when you look at that, look at it compared to freaking Ophistia. So, like, and Ophistia doesn't have this amazing potential with it along with it as well. So, again, criminally undervalued. And, oh, let's scroll down and look. Gear experience is 5 mil. So, let's move on. We're going to jump this one here because these are a little bit more expensive. But jet boots. So, the Guild has jet boots. The Guild has jet boots are actually pretty cool. Something that I previously said you should skip, you actually be able to make use of. And something that I previously told you, hey, don't do. Well, I'm still going to say technically don't do it, but at least now there's a weapon that supports it and makes it very, very strong. So, the Guild has... Guild has jet boots. Boost the power of elemental burst and automatically activate elemental burst when using a photon art. And also 8% power. What does that mean? Well, that means the elemental burst that had a 20% chance of proccing at full points in the tree itself under jet boots for bouncer now procs all the time on every PA use. Let's say that again. It procs 100% of the time on every PA use. It doesn't get rid of your it doesn't get rid of your element. It keeps it. And it procs 100% of the time. This effectively almost doubles your DPS output. It's insane. And then plus potential. 20% power. Are you guys seeing a trend here, by the way? It's ridiculous. This basically takes people who are playing jet boots from a tech-based perspective and skyrockets their damage. The class combination that beforehand I said, hey, don't play it, it's not worth it. Now the damage is worth it, in my opinion. I'll be honest. The damage is worth it if you can survive. If you're someone who feels confident in your jet boots play, Bouncer Fighter is actually going to be a very, very, very powerful choice. Because not only are you taking chase damage, You're taking elemental explosions that have a chance of applying a status effect for that chase damage, and overall tech-based playstyle. Now, granted, I've seen some people play this with Bouncer Hunter. I don't know how this works out as far as its play overall, but I feel like it would still be really, really strong. And again, same thing applies. Because of its plus potential, it pushes it into realms that previous weapons wouldn't reach, making it a very, very, very strong choice overall. Now, we'll talk about one that I have a little bit less experience with. TMGs, dual birds. The dual bird TMGs are kind of really cool. So what they do is if you successfully evade an attack with either a step or a stylish roll, that means either hero step or stylish roll on gunner, you restore PP, and the effect is negated if you take damage. So it's a 9% power overall. As long as you stylish roll through something or you step through something, you regen PP. So what does this mean? Basically, gunners will have really, really good PP management. And if you're constantly stepping through damage and using brand new star on hero, which I think it has a different name. Let me double check the name because that's actually not fair. Let me make sure I get the name right. Where can I see this? Can I see it here? I can't see it here. Starfire Squall is what it's called. So if you're someone if you're dodging something and pressing Starfire Squall, because you're dodging through it, the amount of PP that's recovered is actually equal to the amount that you would use for Starfire Squall. So you can, in theory, dodge through an attack and keep attacking each single time you dodge through it infinitely with dual birds. And then plus potential. Are we seeing a trend? Have I beaten the dead horse enough as it is yet? I probably demonetized the video with saying that, but are we getting the idea here? The plus potential gives it a bunch of base damage and also keeps the unique effects, so it's still really strong. Now, here's the one of these options that actually has retained a lot of its expense overall. I'm gonna go down to TMGs, machine guns, and 14 star. It's pretty expensive. You're probably going to be spending about 42 mil for a solid one. Now, is that out of the realm of or is that unreasonable? Honestly, no. I don't think it's unreasonable at all. For as strong as these weapons are going to be, 42 mil, in my opinion, is kind of nothing for a weapon that you're going to use for a good amount of time. A pretty decent amount of time. And even after you'll outclass this weapon, you'll still be able to use it as a secondary weapon with a different element or something along those lines while you're using other weapons itself. Like, that's the thing, is you'll end up starting to collect weapons as you go forward with 14 and 15 stars and use them for multiple different reasons. So just keep that in mind. And I guess I should probably touch on these weapons because they're going to be in here and I'm kind of just use them as a blanket statement. The pneumonia weapons also kind of follow into this as well. They increase the rate of hero boost accumulation. Now, granted, hero has been buffed a bit, so you do get your hero boost back a little bit quicker anyway. Previously, you had to wait the entire time frame. I think it was like 60 seconds to get your hero boost back or something ridiculous like that. Now, as long as you're dodging through an ability, you'll get your hero boost back within 2 dodges, I believe, because it's 30% each time. But this just increases the accumulation even faster. Its unique effect isn't that powerful, but again, tons of base damage and plus 22% power. Again, the horse is there. It's being hit. I apologize. It's terrible. But hopefully you guys are getting the point. These weapons are fairly powerful. They're fairly inexpensive. And I really, really wish the Jupiter Tullus were in this situation because I'd buy it in a heartbeat. For 40 mil, I'd definitely purchase one. Hell, I'd buy it for 100 to be honest, but that's just me. But yeah, that's really about all we had to cover here today, guys. Hopefully this is helpful to someone out there who might be using these weapons. Maybe it'll get you guys to try out different weapons if you're a fighter and you never use Knuckles. To be honest, I've personally used the gear experience. It's really, really fun parrying stuff once you get, or swaying things once you get used to the timing for it. It's pretty crazy. I already know other Hunter players. I mean, off the top of my head, I can think of White Glenn, who plays Partisan all the time. He's the one who wrote the Partisan guide that's over on the Fleet Discord. I guarantee you he's picked up this Partisan already. He's probably looked at this, saw the price, and was like, what the hell are you all thinking? And other players, so on and so forth, the jet boots, so on, like all these things. I mean, granted, I've even considered going bouncer fighter just for fun to see how much damage I can actually get out of these jet boots, because to be perfectly honest, it's insane how much damage you're gonna get out of these things. I think they're kind of like one of the best 14-star jet boots you can get in the entire game until Serpent Blazers come out, and that's just because Serpent Blazers are broken. That's a whole nother conversation for another time. Anyway, guys, if you have any other questions, feel free to toss them in the comments below. I do want to mention this as well, guys. I've been getting a lot of comments that have popped up where people are starting, you know, they have their own opinions of certain situations. Guys, be respectful to each other in the comments. If you're not, I'm just going to remove you. I don't care if you're right or wrong. If you jump and start attacking someone, you're gone. That's it. I don't care who was right, who was wrong. Of course, I'll mention that, hey, look, you're correct, but you're also being a jerk. So bye. Be respectful, guys, in the comments. Pay attention to like where you're sorting things from. If you have like a site that you're sourcing something from, feel free to toss it into the comments as well. If I have to, I'll manually approve those comments if they happen to be links or whatever they happen to be. But you know, behind the keyboard is a person. I don't feel like I have to explain this to you guys, but behind the keyboard's a person. Remember that you're talking to other people. But as always, a like on the video is much appreciated. It absolves you half of your Apple guilt. The other half is as well by subscribing. Super helpful to me on my end. Wow, talking too much today has actually had its toll. But they're super helpful to me on both ends. And I lost my train of thought of my own outro. Wow, click the bell icon. That's a cool thing to do. Yes, click the bell icon if you want to be notified of any of the videos that are popping up, or if you want to be notified of any community posts. If you'd rather get notifications via Discord, you can always hop into there. Those will get notifications of the stream and then possible videos that are going up. Or you can follow me over on Twitter where I post other random crap and IRL stuff, and then also tweet when the streams are going live. Thank you guys for making it all the way through the end of this video and this horrible outro, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Peace out.